Yo, everybody. Welcome to this silly bike game that we're going to be playing, known as Trials Rising. I'm going to show off a ninja showcase. We'll get into what that is. So I'm Murtag. I have about 600 hours in the modern Trials games, so I've played this game a little bit. You are?
And I'm Flick. I have around 100 hours, so not quite as good as Murtag, but I'll do my best to keep up.
Yeah, so a quick intro for those people that don't know this game. It's a 2D bike game. It's like a physics platformer. It's kind of like Trackmania cross with like Getting Over It cross with Monkey Ball, something like that. The main thing to know is that the physics are heavily simulated. I'm gonna not quite. We'll start time in about 30 seconds. But basically, the physics on the bike are all simulated to the springs on the front and the left. You can see my inputs in the bottom left. So I can accelerate, I can and brake, and those are the only inputs. But yeah, so we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So Flick, yeah, just want to explain like, the basics of the game.
Absolutely. So basically, this is Trials Rising, one of the games in the Trials series. Essentially, your goal is just to get to the end of the track. Everything else you see is just measuring how well you do that. But ultimately, what we care about, especially in this showcase, is can we make it to the end of the track? As you can see in the top left, there's the time, obviously how long you take, and there is also faults. You may have seen Murtag may have crashed a couple times. That is just, when you fail a checkpoint, you can just instantly reset to the start of the checkpoint that you're on. Right now, we're starting with a hard track. There are multiple difficulties in the game, going from beginner, easy, medium, and hard. And yeah, this is the hardest hard track in the game.
Yeah, this is literally the final track of the campaign. That's why we've got the special music going on here. But this is where we are starting our ninja journey. So we're going to be seeing a bunch of kind of the more advanced techniques that the game teaches you through the advanced tutorials. We're going to be seeing bunny hopping. That's when I build up energy in the back spring by leaning to the left and then releasing it by pressing forward. So you'll see it here, build up the energy, and then I can essentially jump. There's no jump button, and I'm just using the energy, the physics of the bike. Some funky physics checkpoints here. This is a skip. This is not how you're meant to do this. Oh, try that again. That's not how you're meant to do that checkpoint, but it's a bit faster. More physics checkpoints here. We're not going to see many of these like physics objects, but through these easier tracks, there's a few. Kind of an awkward checkpoint here. Another thing we'll see a lot of is landing on uphill slopes. It's actually a lot harder than it looks because only my back wheel has power. So if my back wheel is not on the track, then I can't accelerate and I basically have no control whatsoever. So maintaining that contact, I have to lean with the rider in very particular ways because leaning left and right like shifts the rider around. So that was like, the hardest track in the main campaign, but once you nail all those, you unlock these bonus tracks called the extreme tracks. And we're now going to jump into the hardest extreme track in the game. This is a massive, massive difficulty step up. And to try to give you an idea of like what I need to do to like pass these obstacles, I'm going to break down one checkpoint, this very first checkpoint. So I'll try to show you what it looks like when you do it correctly. Okay, that was very almost it. You see, just like that. So I pretty much just ride up the ramp and then go up. Like, how hard can that be? But in order to make this work, I need to approach it in exactly the right way. So the way that I'm doing this is that I am, firstly, I have to get my back wheel in contact with all of this ramp. But if I just ride at the ramp, like hold the accelerator, it doesn't work. If I do it leaning forward, it doesn't work. If I do it leaning back, it doesn't work. Like, nothing basic works at all. So instead, I need to wheelie up the ramp, like this. And then I'm going to slam down my right wheel by leaning to the right, because when I lean to the right, it pushes the back wheel down. And then I'll ride up the ramp. So I need to manage my lean left and right and also wheel up this ramp in just exactly the right way to get my back wheel to have contact the whole time to be able to get up there. So we're going to be seeing, so obviously, more precise checkpoints in general. but also more techniques that we've not seen before. So we're going to be seeing rear wheel bounces. They're kind of like bunny hops, but only land on my back wheel. So you have to be a lot more precise with the balancing act, and then also stalling on my front wheel, which you'll see on this checkpoint when I eventually get this, and on a few of the other checkpoints. So I brake on the front wheel, and then it allows me to climb up. So we're going to see a lot of that. Here's another rear wheel bounce. Really, really tricky one here. It needs to be exactly right. A little bit low. There we go. This is a fun little checkpoint. There's also a bit of an advanced tech there called flapping. Like, maybe you could explain roughly what that does.
Yeah, so this is the first of many advanced techniques we'll start to see as we get into more difficult tracks. Flapping is a very useful technique. Essentially, it's if you're trying to rotate yourself onto a platform that you otherwise would fall off of. What you do is you hold the accelerator and then you rapidly tap the brake button. And what it does is it allows you to more easily rotate your bike and then steady yourself onto a platform that you would otherwise fall off of. Very useful technique.
Yeah, just coming through a few quite technical checkpoints. Got our last physics checkpoint here. This is really annoying. This doesn't work out. There we go. This is the hardest checkpoint in my opinion coming up here. I need to stabilize myself very quickly and then get a really good rear wheel bounce off this pipe. So I was a little bit too slow, so that barrel blocks my path. There we go. Casual vertical wall climb, we will talk more about that later. That was a pretty okay 8 fault run. So yeah, let's talk about ninjas while I jump into the first one.
Yeah, so if you're watching, you might be kind of confused because this is a ninja showcase. You might be thinking, where are the ninjas? I don't see any ninjas. So exactly right, exactly. So essentially, ninja is the difficulty above extreme, and we are going to be doing a lot of very difficult ninja tracks right now. Those 2 tracks were just a taste of what we're going to see later in the run. And Ninja is an entire tier of difficulty above Extreme. So, yeah, we're going to jump into the first Ninja track now.
Yep.
So a very interesting thing about this track is you might notice a lot of the platforms are marked with red. And you might also notice that the rider is just completely ragdolling. Like, you know, he just makes contact with the platform and then just collapses as if, you know, he's been horrifically injured. That is because this is a back wheel only track. You cannot touch your front wheel to the red platforms whatsoever. And a very noticeable thing about this is that it is a completely ninja unique technique. When you beat the extreme tracks in the game, you do not need to do any back wheel only tracks whatsoever. So quite interesting just to see how Murtag handles these obstacles. You can really see the precision. You're really starting to see the technique that you need to move over these obstacles without, you know, accidentally making contact with your front wheel. But yeah, as Murtag makes his way through this very difficult compared to the previous track, back wheel track, I think we have time for a donation.
Absolutely. We have $5 from Ares saying, I've loved Trials for years, and seeing this game here is amazing. The ninja community is crazy. Much love.
And I couldn't agree more. Just, you know, having watched this for not even 10 minutes, I'm like, what?
We've only just started. Every track's going to be harder than the previous. We've got a full hour.
Yeah, it's truly, like, this is just the beginning. Like, trust me, we'll be seeing some incredible things, like some truly difficult tracks in Trials. And I have to say, I have around 100 hours in the modern Trials games, and I am at the point where I can complete, you know, any in-game extreme, but Ninja is beyond my pay grade, basically. So a track like this, I don't have any skills for back wheel. Like, it's a physics-based game, so it looks very intuitive how you drive, but it really cannot be understated the amount of precision you need.
Yeah, so that last part, there's a weird quirk of the physics engine where you can't actually go up slopes backwards if you're on two wheels. You can only do it on your back wheel, and it forced it with the red platforms. But yeah, so you kind of have to do that technique to go up that. You'll see that in several Ninja tracks.
Oh, so you might have noticed, now there's a blue platform. I wonder what the blue platforms could be. You know, the previous track was back wheel only, so why not also introduce front wheel only sections? So now we have back wheel only sections and front wheel only sections. We call these tracks back wheel, front wheel, or BWFW for short. These tracks are, I mean, of course, they're not necessarily more difficult because you can scale difficulty depending on the obstacles, but front wheel is a completely new technique. It's a completely new type of obstacle, and something very important to remember is that the back wheel is the only wheel that has power. So if you have to move forward on your front wheel, as you can see here, you have to very carefully shuffle forward with nothing but physics to, you know, edge you forward.
Yeah, it's completely different style of play. And it's also very hard to talk while doing it. Yeah, it's not all like balancing and like, you know, Tony Hawk grinding or whatever, because as I lean left and right, like, as I lean left and right, like the whole bike is shaking around, the physics are bouncing, the suspension up and down. And it's about managing that, so it's so much more complicated than just lean left and right.
Yeah, you really need to thread the needle because your bike really wants to fall forwards, it really wants to fall backwards, but you have to very narrowly just balance yourself and then, you know, slowly inch forward, which is a very difficult technique. You can really see almost like the struggle just in doing this.
Yeah, front wheel is a little bit too high. There we go. This is a really annoying checkpoint. I have to get a lot of speed off this ramp, but I also can't touch the top of the ramp with my back wheel. So this might take a few tries. We'll just see how this goes. Hopefully it won't take too long. Oh, nice. That's good. Not too bad, not too bad.
You love to see it. It really cannot be understated that the goal here is just to get to the end of the track, because these tracks are very hard. It's not really about minimizing faults at this point. I mean, of course, that is something you can do. However, the focus is really just, can I beat this track? Like, you know, at the difficulty beyond extreme, it's really just about challenging yourself with more and more difficult tracks and trying to, you know, demonstrate your technical skill.
Yeah, so we should probably talk about ninja levels as we're going up here.
Yeah, so you might have thought to yourself, okay, there's hard, there's extreme, there's ninja. What comes after ninja? And the answer is also ninja. We separate ninjas into multiple levels. So what you saw on those first two tracks, the back wheel track and the back wheel front wheel track, was a ninja level 1. And this is the first ninja level 2 that we are going to be seeing. And I believe this is a hill climb track.
Yeah, it's our first hill climb track. This first transition is super awkward. There we go. There we go, that's what I want.
Yeah, so when I first saw a hill climb track, the first thing I thought was just, how is this possible? Like, you just get presented with this obscenely vertical, like obscenely steep hill. And it's just, this is clearly impossible. But as it turns out, if you're good enough and you have enough precision over your control, like, it really cannot be understated. Yeah, the amount of precision, like, you have to really manage your throttle at these parts. This is, I mean, this is beyond my skill level, so.
Yeah, so you can see the inputs in the bottom, and I have to manage tiny, tiny, tiny changes in my throttle. Too much or too little, and it will not work.
As you can see there's like a sudden shift to a different angle, and those are quite tricky to maneuver. Something you'll start seeing in a lot of ninja tracks is very awkward transitions that really force you to you know, figure out, how am I going to approach this obstacle? How am I not going to lose grip as I do this?
Yeah, we got some really awkward checkpoints coming up. I'll do my best to get through them. Yeah, so basically, I mean, like, because basically anytime I accelerate, it wants to rotate the bike backwards, just like in real life. And so it's all a matter of, like, if I accelerate too hard, the bike will just backflip. So I have to accelerate exactly the right amount.
Yeah, it's all about just managing your acceleration perfectly. You go too fast, you'll fail. You go too slow, you'll fail. We just saw an advanced technique there called a fender grab. It's essentially when you grab onto the edge of the platform with your fender and then flip yourself right back up. Very useful to recover, and also to make it a further distance when you wouldn't be able to make it directly onto a platform. You can just catch it with your fender and then kind of like hook yourself in place and flip yourself over.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times, but ninjas will like force the technique.
Yeah. It's really at this point where these kinds of techniques become impossible. Oh, also that was very unfortunate. Yeah, it's really cutthroat. Often you'll make it very close to the end of a checkpoint, but then the slightest miscalculation, and then you have to do it all again. So one very nice thing about trials is that when you do fail, you instantly go back to the previous checkpoint. You know, there's no delay, there's no pause, it's just instant. So at the very least, you can retry as many times as you want, up to a limit. You can fail, you can fault up to 500 times on a track, and you have a 30-minute limit.
There we go.
Awesome. Another very clean completion. But yeah, you have a 30-minute limit. We're hoping to finish all of these tracks long before that, but nice to know that you have that amount of time if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, that really should be stressed, that these tracks were created with the objective being to finish, where finishing is defined as completed in 30 minutes of real time and also in less than 500 faults. So we're trying to do them in a little bit less than that, so we are kind of overachieving these ninja tracks, so to speak. Like, doing ninjas in just a few minutes is really, really tricky. This track has a lot of really interesting obstacles, including this first one. It's what's called like a squishy bounce. It's kind of, I don't even think I can explain it, but you basically force the back wheel into obstacles to build up energy in the spring. And then release that to gain extra speed or height. It's not a very good jump. No, try that again. Yeah, so it's gonna be showcasing a lot of weird and wonderful techniques in this track. We need maximum speed here for this to work.
Something you might also start noticing is bombs. I think we have seen them already, but ninja tracks really like placing bombs in very difficult places to avoid, because if you hit a bomb, you will fault, and then you have to redo the checkpoint. So a lot of checkpoints require you to very carefully maneuver around.
There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, and also in case you missed it, the first 2 tracks we played were developer made, but these are all community made, and you can't import assets into the game. You've only got access to the assets the game gives you, and people make these incredible looking tracks. This is really difficult. It's a wall climb, but there's gaps in the wall. Oh, almost. Ooh.
Very tricky checkpoint. Nice. Also, yeah, every now and then the rider gets very excited, so, you know, if you hear him shouting and yelling, he does that. He gets excited.
Honestly, he should be after nailing that.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
He's very often says like things that don't really make any sense, but that time I agreed with him.
I mean, you know, the alternative is exploding a lot of the time, so yeah.
This is a fun one. First instance of a front wheel hop. Oh, actually, we kind of had one earlier. But
Oh yes!
oh yes.
There we go.
The endo here helps just get the back wheel up. Up. That again. Oh, that was... I threw that. Okay, we're in a difficult situation here. There you go. Recovering from that position actually has a special name. It's called the Spider-Man.
Yeah, you thought the Spider-Man was over for today, but no.
We got
There's more.
Spider-Man.
Exactly. So yeah, a
That
very...
checkpoint's really hard, but we did it.
I mean, yeah, like, a very common thing about skill in trials is not only doing things very well first try, but also being able to recover when you end up in a tricky situation. So you'll often see Murtag reset checkpoints. Those are when he knows he's going to fail, pretty much. Like, it's almost guaranteed to be a fail. However, sometimes if you're really close, you might end up in a very difficult situation where you can recover the checkpoint, but it's very hard. So those create the really, you know, clenching situations like we just saw.
This is a very weird checkpoint. It's a very rare technique used where if you don't accelerate down huge ramps like that, you gain way more speed. So we just don't accelerate. Nice, we're creeping up on the difficulty here. This is a particularly incredible looking map. Like, this is just like a user-made track. Just somebody made this. And it looks better than probably almost all the developer tracks. Just incredible. Still really hard. This is what you would call a technical ninja. Has a lot of like, just, I don't know, it's kind of like just a big variety of tricky obstacles that aren't, and it's not hill climbing focused or back wheel, front wheel. You got a bit of everything really in this track. The last 2 checkpoints in particular are really tricky. Oh. Let's try that again. I was just trying to set up for the jump in just the right way, but I fell backwards. Because I want to be leaning left here, but it's very easy to fall back. And that was a very poor jump, so we'll try the Spider-Man again. Nice, you get it.
So as Murtag makes his way through this track, I think we have time for a donation.
Absolutely, we have $5 from our very own Seer here in the crowd. Never even heard about the game, but this is cool, to say the least. You never know what you might miss by not being up at 3 AM. And I couldn't agree more, to be honest, because I guess if I didn't be donation reading right now, I wouldn't be watching this, but hell damn does this look. And Murtag even makes it look kinda easy at least. But he also put that $5 towards the Super Mario Galaxy 2 Perfect Run target that we have still open, that all of you, can chime in a little bit more to have that get met when the run is happening later on in the marathon.
Thanks so much for the donation and the kind words.
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend Trials. Like, obviously these tracks are super difficult, but the game really eases you in. The very easy tracks are, very welcoming to beginners, and there's a really good difficulty curve, I would say, that really introduces you to the difficult tricks like bunny hopping, very early on, then more difficult techniques later. So it's a very addictive, very, very fun game. I really like it.
Yes. I think speedrunners totally understand like the self-improvement, like seeing yourself get better and better. And this game is just full of that, basically. So I'd highly recommend it. Not quite, not quite. That is not enough speed. Let's try that again. Ah! Ah. Yeah, it's being consistent at these tracks is just absolutely insane. Okay, we got some this checkpoint's not too bad, but we're about to go to the really hard stuff in this track. So very often you'll see me kind of, I just press the B button to like retry a checkpoint, and I'll often do it like very quickly, very suddenly. That's for two reasons. One is I can just tell when like I stand no chance, like I'm definitely gonna crash. Often way ahead of time, so I'm just gonna not waste any time and do that. The other reason is that sometimes, very often, I could just reset up without faulting, and you would do that if you were trying to minimize the amount of faults. But in a marathon setting, I just want to minimize time, so it's faster to just reset my bike rather than reset it manually. Okay, there's 2 checkpoints left, and this one is very hard. Let's not do it like that. Let's go a backflip instead. So, yeah, getting this fender grab here is really tricky. I haven't figured out a super consistent way of doing it, so we're just gonna keep going. And this is the best technique that I've found, almost. There we go. And this part now is also still really difficult.
Yeah, like when I see these obstacles that are just literally just vertical, it's even if it's a small wall, it's just my brain just does not understand.
Yeah, so this obstacle is incredibly weird. I don't even know what the intended strat is here. I found 4 different ways of doing it. I'm gonna do it in the way that I personally have found most consistent. I don't think this is gonna work. Nope.
Yeah, that was one of those close situations where you were not really sure if it was recoverable, so you experimented a bit, but yeah.
No. So I want to just basically do, sometimes it's called a switch hop, where I switch from my front wheel to my back wheel, and then I want to bunny hop off it onto the final platform, but it's just incredibly awkward, the angle it's giving you here. And it just very often just get pushed off the front, so we'll just keep going till we get this. Oh no, that's bad.
Yeah, very, very difficult checkpoint.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Oh,
There we go, nice.
amazing flapping to recover though.
Oh, we're doing pretty well. So anyway, those tracks were too easy. So we're gonna step it up. This is Ninja 3. The idea is that every step up in Ninja level is like the same as like hard to extreme, extreme to Ninja 1, Ninja 2, Ninja 3. And this is a hill climb Ninja 3. And yeah, so this track is really hard. So we're gonna be going at a fairly slow pace. Being very patient. And I'm gonna mostly focus. I'll focus, try and get this first checkpoint.
Yeah, slow and steady. Slow and steady completes the track, I guess.
That won't go.
So this is quite a difficult vertical wall climb we're seeing right here, and it's one of those things that is, so to someone like me who cannot even complete ninja tracks, is just truly very, very difficult. Cannot be understated.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe exactly how we do these, but basically the gist of vertical wall climbs is you cannot accelerate up a vertical wall, you'll just backflip. So we have to decelerate up the wall, but we need to get some initial speed so that we can actually ascend the wall while decelerating. So we need to figure out a way to gain some vertical speed and then basically, yeah, perfectly feather the throttle so that we are decelerating very, very gradually, and that will keep our front wheel from coming away from the wall. This is a really hard transition. Okay. Okay, now I think this is not too high of a vertical wall, so it should be okay. Yeah. Just about. We've got a lot more vertical walls to go.
Yeah, you can really see the precision, you know, the gradual deceleration, really very carefully managing your speed so that you don't fall off, but also making sure that you have enough speed to make it to the top. Very, very tricky stuff.
Yeah, so pretty much all of this track is going to be vertical walls with a twist. So there you saw like the slopes. Here we got these little notches. There's going to be 3 in a row. It's really difficult. I don't really stand a chance of explaining how you really do this. But it's, I just need to go over them with just the right speed, basically. If I'm going too fast or too slow, I basically won't be able to do it. But slowing down is actually also very difficult on these walls, because if I let go of the accelerator, then my back wheel will just come off from the wall. So it's easier said than done to go at just the right speed.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of one of those very, very awkward checkpoints where, you know, it's such a small notch, it doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, but given that you're managing your speed so much, it really is a huge deal.
Yeah, it like the bike gets very unsettled when the back wheel goes over. And if my front wheel or my back wheel like presses into the wall suddenly, you know, that'll build up energy in the springs, and then will push me away.
Well, as Murtag fights to complete this very difficult checkpoint, I think we have time for a donation.
All right, Chad. Here's a question for you from Eris for $5. What's the best Trials game, and why is it Evolution?
Evolution, Fusion, and Rising are all amazing. Fusion is the one I've played the most, actually, and the one that I fell in love with the game on. So I didn't get into Trials until Fusion came out, but I mean, Evolution was the one that started everything. That's what made Trials from funny bike game to oh my god, this game is incredible with the ridiculously high skill ceiling that you're seeing here. This was all pretty much invented in the Evolution era.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played Fusion. I really love Fusion. Very good game. I need to play Rising still.
This is a really hard checkpoint. I could set up everything, but really, it's just there's some very, very hard transitions, and the harder the transition, like the steeper the angle change, the more it wants to upset the bike. So it's really difficult to manage here. Almost. And we kind of got to do 3 of these in a row, but they're all different. The second one is particularly difficult. Sometimes you can save it, but often you can't.
Yeah, as you play the very difficult ninja tracks, it really makes you appreciate how, especially in the easier tracks in the base game, they're really set up for you to succeed. Like, there's often so many aspects of each checkpoint that are really just, you know, it helps you get a good angle, helps you get a good launch, you know, the jump might not be too far. And then you get to these very difficult tracks, and, you know, you don't get any help. You just have, it's just you and your skill and nothing else. Oh, so close.
Could have got that, but like I am gonna get stuck on some checkpoints. There's no way around it.
Yeah, we've officially entered the part of the showcase where some of the checkpoints are very much worthy of celebration, because they are. Some of these checkpoints are very, very difficult, and I know I've said that a lot, but this time for real. Although, as I said, I couldn't beat any of the Ninja ones, so, you know. Nice recovery.
Yeah, I'll try to explain a little bit about why this checkpoint is so difficult. If the front wheel falls down, like when you're on a hill climb like this, you lose grip in your back wheel and you just wheel spins against the wall and you just fall down. So I have to basically ride with my front wheel in the air at about the 11 o'clock in order to be able to get up here. Too far back, too far forward, and you fail. Yeah, like this is the real ninja experience right now. Like if you go home and play ninjas, this is what it's like. Like you said, 30 minutes is how long the game is expecting you to take to beat these tracks.
Yeah, like being able to consistently beat these tracks is truly incredible.
There we go. Okay, this checkpoint's really hard. This transition is super difficult. I should have got that. Like, because it's like I'm jumping into a wall and yet I need to not build up any energy in the springs, the bike, otherwise it'll push me off. It's very difficult as well. Gonna do our best here.
You'll notice Murtag intentionally fender grabbing to get enough speed to go into the checkpoint each time he recovers.
Yeah, the fender grab here actually helps a real lot to get up there. So we'll try with that as well. That also works. Front wheel hit the wall, so it pushed me back. Like, this is just one of those checkpoints where it's just so fiddly. I have no room to maneuver whatsoever.
Well, as Murtag focuses on this checkpoint, I think we have time for another donation.
Absolutely. We have $4 from Dylan J. Fox saying, "Hey partner, just wanted to say it's been lovely meeting you and spending time with you in the short burst we've had this week. Keep being you and don't let anybody dull your shine, Murtag. Oh, also thank you for the help with the FM comms."
Oh, yo. Dylan J. Fox, what a legend. Yeah, it's been good hanging out with me and you two. We'll get this, we'll get this. Focus, focus. Okay, okay, okay.
It's winnable.
Okay, there we go, there we go. So, what's harder than a vertical wall? Beyond vertical.
Yeah, right when you think, okay, there's no way it can get harder than this. Well, the very next checkpoint.
Also, you have to fender grab at the top here because of the way the next part is designed. So I have to get this in exactly the right way. That was very close. Too fast. Oh, that actually might have gone. Screwed up there. I'll try again. Yes. Nice.
Yeah, you can really feel the step up from Ninja 2 to Ninja 3. Every single checkpoint is so hard fought at this point. It's like such a challenge.
I almost got this checkpoint first try. This one was giving me some real tricky, some real difficulty in practice. No, no, not quite, not quite. I basically have to build up loads of speed just off jumping across this notch, and that is hard. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, excuse me while I just do this random tech obstacle in the middle of this hill climb. Very weird obstacle. I need to like lean left in midair to pull my bike out of the way. And just build up. Every single time I always have to build a feel for it. Because it's just very, it's super weird. It'll just happen when it happens. Not. Okay. Yeah, that was not good enough. See if we can recover this.
That is a pretty big wall.
Yeah. Oh, don't touch the bottom. Okay. Ah, that was also bad. That was also bad. My finger is slowly slipping off the left analog stick, so I kind of want to get this. No. Ah. Okay. almost. Almost. That's bad, that's bad. Front wheel lifted off, just too much.
Yeah, once again, we're really seeing that, you know, if you can recover a fail and then continue from halfway through the checkpoint, that is less devastating than having to start from the entire thing.
Ooh. Yeah, man. Shouldn't really be struggling on this wall climb, but like, it's all really hard. I really don't like having to do this obstacle like loads of times as well. Not an obstacle I particularly like.
Yeah, you can really see the awkwardness of it. As I mentioned before, you know, Ninja Tracks really, by having these very awkward checkpoints, they really force you to, you know, deal with the checkpoints in a very, you know, you need a lot of precision, a lot of, you know, good execution to get around these awkward angles.
Okay, we've spent 15 minutes on this track, and I want to play some other tracks. The last two checkpoints are really difficult vertical wall climbs, but just for the sake of time, we're going to jump on to the next track, I think, which is one of my favorite tracks ever, and it's ridiculously difficult. Yeah, that was in practice. Most of my I could do most of those tracks, and I could do that track in like 10 minutes normally. So that's just a bit unlucky, but it just happens. Oh yeah, so this is back wheel, front wheel. We haven't seen it in a little while, and it's really, really hard. This first one is a little bit crazy. I'm gonna try and get through this.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about trials. Like, you can be right about to topple over, but so long as your bike makes it across that checkpoint line, you get credit for the checkpoint, and then you just carry on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think these obstacles pretty much speak for themselves. So I'm just gonna focus really hard.
Yeah, so obviously this slope is a lot less steep than what we were just seeing. However, it is back wheel only, which is very diabolical, very tricky. Because obviously, you know, maintaining your front wheel such that your front wheel does not touch the slope whatsoever as you drive up the slope, very difficult. I need to do, oh, very difficult. As you can see, we need to jump off that platform from our front, from our front wheel and then land below.
Yeah, when you're slamming down your back wheel like this, it's so difficult to keep control.
Slowly wiggle forward. Oh. It's very tricky because you need to cover enough ground to land on the platform below, but obviously you also need to be able to stabilize on your front wheel entirely on that platform. And then you need to be able to do it again to get to the next checkpoint. But yeah, as with the previous track, we're very much dealing with every single checkpoint is, you know, worthy of revelation, worthy of praise. Because if you get past any of these checkpoints, it's a breath of fresh air. It's a relief because now you don't need to do that checkpoint anymore. And the next one might be harder, but one step at a time. Every checkpoint is difficult. Everyone has a new challenge.
I've got a huge amount of block on this ramp right here. Gonna try and
Ooh, barely flip the back.
you have to get so much forward momentum to get the back wheel out of the way so it doesn't clip. I rushed that a little bit, trying to see if that would work a little bit better.
Yeah, this is often the nature of these very difficult tracks. Earlier in the practice room, I saw Murtag do a very just blitzed right past this checkpoint. But obviously,
Yeah.
one attempt is one attempt. The consistency is the real challenge. Being able to consistently do these very difficult checkpoints is very, very hard.
Oof. Okay, right.
Nice.
If only that was the hard checkpoint.
Yeah, and this one's even harder because now you got to jump across those 3 platforms entirely on your front wheel.
Yeah, this first gap is really big, and it's the main issue here. So what I want is to get just the right chassis hit to just launch me across. It's just the easiest way of getting this. Should be able to get this. Need to hit the body in exactly the right way. Okay, it's not coming together, but it will. Ah. No, I was too far gone.
On.
Oh no, I lost control of the bike there.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you get stuck in the gap, that's unrecoverable because you would need your back wheel to do it, which if your back wheel touches the platform, then that also faults. So, yeah.
Not coming out this the right way. Okay, right, real slow, real slow. That was not not a mistake I would normally make, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is a fun one. We got some fun checkpoints here, so hopefully we get through them. Okay, not quite far enough with the front wheel.
Also, I just want to quickly say the last part of that 3rd checkpoint is very difficult because it's so easy to hit your back wheel as you make the final jump. So that's why you saw Murtag lining up for quite a while to ensure that that did not happen.
This fender is giving me a bit more trouble than it normally does.
A downward slope on front wheel only. That's a tough one.
That was very, very close. Oh yeah, I was slightly too far lean forward. And then I had to try and recover, but it's incredibly difficult when you're moving at that kind of speed and adjusting barely not enough forward there. Ah, no, the fender just got stuck rather than grabbing. Ah, that might happen again. Yeah, no. Jumping too far now, that's an interesting problem. No, that's
So close.
I was just slightly too leaning to the left. There we go, there we go. This one is fun. Hopefully we get it. Nice.
Clean.
Okay, now we're on the hard checkpoints.
Yeah, so those very difficult jumps on front wheel earlier, now they're even harder, especially this next one. Very difficult. Oh,
Tiny bit too far to the left. Yeah, it's... I don't know. I think it speaks for itself. It's kind of worth to rush the first one a little bit because it's quite easy and it's just like time efficient. But then the rest you kind of want to really take it easy. Ah, that's not ideal.
Oh yeah. He's been quiet for a while. Oh,
Power flapping right there.
flapping for your life.
Oh, let's go. Okay, there are 9 checkpoints in this track, so let's see if we can see if we can get through any more. These are hard though. So we've done a lot of fender grabs, and a lot of them are actually not that difficult, but this one is actually hard.
Yeah, it's just a little bit further away, I believe. Like, it's just a bit out of reach, so you kind of have to jump into it, from my understanding.
It's even more complicated than that, really. It's not just about the jump, it's about the fact that you have to kind of jump really late into it. Also, this front wheel this back wheel section also is really tricky up to it as well. Nice. 2 checkpoints left. This one is really fun. I hope I can get it. Oh, okay, slightly on the back flip there.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance because you need to drive as fast as possible, like accelerate to be as fast as possible, but obviously without being able to let your front wheel touch the platform. Very easier said than done.
I'm just gonna go for another minute or two here. I'd really like to show you the last checkpoint of this track because it took me about 2 hours to clear it for the first time. And it's really, really crazy. Okay, nice. Okay,
Awesome.
we're just gonna give this last checkpoint like a few tries, but it's just insane. Yeah, I timed out on this checkpoint like 3 times before clearing this track. Uphill, front wheel only. I don't know, it's as hard as it. As hard as it looks.
Uphill on front wheel. You don't have any power, you just have yourself, your skill, and physics.
Yeah, I have gotten so much better at this. Like, when I first came to this checkpoint, it was like, what? Like, absolutely no way. Yeah, last try once we get onto it, and then we'll call it. Okay. All right. We've been on our hour. So yeah, we'll call it here. So thanks so much for watching this Ninja Showcase. I got to show off the whole of this track, which is really awesome. So yeah, you should play Trials. It's like absolutely an incredible game. It's so fun. Like if you're into like self-improvement games, that kind of stuff, you definitely should. I think like this showcase, like there's a reason why people don't do Ninja Showcases in this game because it's incredibly hard and inconsistent. And it's very, very hard to convey just how challenging these checkpoints are. You know, in practice, I think my PB on this track is like 8 minutes. And you know, we've gone 15 minutes, so I could have gone through way more tracks, but in a way, this kind of is the right way it should have gone because these tracks really are this hard, and if I'd breezed through them, you really wouldn't have got the impression of how hard they are. So yeah, this is what Ninja riding is like. It's a struggle, but it's really satisfying. Highly recommend you get into it. And lastly, I just want to give a big shout out to University of Trials, Professor Frat Shady. You know, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have really got into like really hard tracks. I think it's a universal experience amongst trial players to really struggle on an extreme track. Think this is totally impossible. You know, you go on YouTube and you find a video by this guy, and he, you know, he's the most wholesome, amazing guy ever, and he shows you how to do these advanced techs, and you get to get that sense of improvement. So shout out to him. Yeah, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, basically just play Trials. Awesome series. I need to play Rising myself. I've only played Fusion, and I'm looking forward to it. So, what's your excuse? Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. See you around.
Just before we transition over here, I just have to say we have a whole week of speedruns lined up with some amazing showcases from some amazing runners, but I would really say this was probably like the hour, you know, 1 point that was just, you know, chopping it all off. Like if you were to take any run for like an hour and watch it, that has none on what we just saw here. So huge applause to Murtag. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks.
And yeah, next ESA we try it again, and then we, you know,
I'd love to.
3. Perfect. All right, everybody.